Hey, let's talk about games. If you're struggling a little bit with Inquisitor Martyr's melee system right now, don't you worry. You take a lot of damage, it's pretty rough, but Hydra's got your back. We're going to be talking through some tips, tricks and general advice today to make your life a little bit easier. Now to kick things off, melee is hard, but it is doable, and these tips are going to help you along, the first of which is don't always go for the largest enemy group that you can find, thinking the most damage that you can do is within that group. There will be situations where that is correct, however, more often than not within Martyr, there will be units and groups of enemies around the edge, small patrols that you can take out first, ranged units in particular which you can take out fairly safely before taking on the main meat of a room. And if you're charging straight in at the beginning, you're going to be taking all of that range damage straight away. And why do that when you can be taking out from a safe distance some of the stragglers around the edge and then getting stuck into the main group? Now the second tip, which sort of leads on neatly from this, is that slow enemies can often be bypassed in order to take out the units that are actually threatening to you. So you might think a threatening dreadnought, a giant huge hulk staring at you, is particularly dangerous. Not always the case, same with marauders. You can actually walk around these guys quite quickly and quite easily. Take out the stragglers that are shooting you first. Those guys, trust me, are much higher priority. Kill them first and then you can one-on-one that dreadnought or marauder without taking too much damage in return. And hey, if you're not doing a purge mission, quite often you can take out the ranged units in a room and just carry on rocking. Completely ignore some of the slower units because you're not going to get any experience from killing them. Now leading on from that, I just want to emphasise how king mobility is within this game, and really specifically to the Crusader, you need that extra mobility with your slow movement speed and lack of a dodge function, and an assault pack really does cover that quite well. Anything you can spec into getting some extra focus regeneration is going to help you out a lot, because not only does the assault pack get you into combat faster, meaning you're going to take less damage while getting into combat, but it also gets you out of combat faster. So if you find yourself over encumbered, you're going to save a life just from pressing one button and literally running away. Yes, it's not very inquisitorial to run away, but it's completely fine and completely viable. We all do it, nothing to be ashamed of. Going away, going out of a room, getting into cover to get your life back and then going back in again when the enemies are all funneled up down that little corridor, it's a much easier life than just going in a room and being so stubborn that you refuse to do anything other than whack the nearest enemy till it's all dead. I mean, that's a viable plan if you're a tank, but hey, it's not always doable as you increase the difficulty. Now the next tip is to customise your gear according to your needs. By this I mean, if you are finding that your health goes down before your suppression mark, then make sure your inoculator is fine-tuned in accordance with this. Put yourself a double heal on that inoculator if you find you're dying before you run out of suppression. Perhaps invest in skills that give you a bonus against suppression, but then give your inoculator the extra chance or opportunity to give you the extra healing. It will really make a difference in terms of mitigating that damage. As well as that, the belt ability, you might find if your playstyle really is that you want to charge into combat first and just go nuts, make sure you've got a defensive belt or generator to help you with that. The void shield in particular works really well. As well as that, the extra 10 or 20% deflection that you can get from one of the other shields could really be a lifesaver if that's how you are determined to play. Now for those that are a little bit more cautious and happy to take a bit more time, grenades are still viable. You can walk backwards out of a room, let enemies clump up and then throw a grenade. The only danger can be when you do this strategy though is if you let the enemies clump up too much. Sometimes you lack the damage or AoE to kill them before they then kill you, so grouping up enemies by doing this kiting strategy can be risky as well, because you are going to be technically increasing the amount of damage you take if you can't kill them fast enough. Now the last tip I just want to give you is that sometimes in life you've got to go ham. And I found myself in many situations against a demon portal where I simply can't kill it. It's churning out enemies too fast, and if I ask myself what could I have done different, the only thing I could have done is the very moment I saw that portal, I could have rushed it. I had a grenade, I had an armor ability, I could have jumped on it with my pack, I could have started damaging it, popped my defensive and my inoculators to stay alive and kill it. Once it started churning out enemies, sometimes you will get stuck behind, and this is a little bit of trial and error, but generally speaking, demon portals I would sometimes rush, sometimes even to expend a life, but generally within most rooms, because there won't be a respawn feature, you can afford to be a little bit more patient. Although sometimes maybe you might find some traps you want to rush just to save you the headache really of having an extra room full of mobs to kill. Guys, I want to give you an opportunity now to put your tips down below in the comments, because I'm sure you guys have some great tips for some of the newer melee players. Help each other out down here. How do you find making melee easier? Or do you even find melee viable? Let me know down in the comments below. Now guys, make sure you've checked out the other tips and tricks videos down below. We've got a few videos on offer here. We've got them in the Steam guides, but hey, just click on the playlist down there. You'll be able to check them out. Guys and girls, have yourself a great weekend, and we'll be in touch soon with some more content.